If you were watching on Sunday the Cowboys and the Browns, Tom Brady, there he was, all dolled up, looking good. Tom Brady made his broadcast debut on Sunday on Fox. He called the Week 1 snooze fest between the Brownies and the Cowboys. The Cowboys put up a fight. The Browns did not. Game was no contest here. Cleveland stinks, and it consistently stinks. So Tom Brady in the broadcast booth, and how did he look? Early reviews say he had some jitters there at the beginning of the game. His voice was a little shaky. He paused quite often. Some said he was absolutely awful. Others said he grew stuttier as the game went on. So all over the map on the reviews of Tom Brady. But who cares what they think? It's all about what we think, right? It's all about you and I. So the question, what did you make of Tom Brady's debut on Fox? Cowboys and Browns. So I've got the Ritz-Carlton brand ambassador and FOMO. And we will combine all of these things together, and we're going to make diners, drive-ins, and dives is what we're going to make. All right, so to lead off here, Tom Brady, I didn't think he was terrible. I saw the story. Some of you sent me emails, oh, man, you got to kill Brady. He was awful. He sucked. I didn't think that. I was expecting what I got. It wasn't amazing. It was kind of who cares? You don't get excited about It's like you go to the ice cream shop, you're there, and you want some Neapolitan ice cream, and then they give you a waffle bowl of vanilla bean ice cream. You're like, well, I want the strawberry, and I'd like the chocolate. No, you only get the vanilla. You don't get the strawberry, you don't get the chocolate. Well, I want that. I want the Neapolitan. You didn't give me that. You gave me just the vanilla. And considering all of the different variables, the fact that Tom Brady took a year off from the NFL and was living the life of leisure and then chose to do this and was very braggadocious to people around Tom Brady and his posse that he did all these demo broadcasts and he kept every note from his days with the Patriots. You certainly had the right to expect more. He was fine. There was nothing memorable about this. There wasn't. On the Maller report card, I give Tom Brady a C. I give him a C. It was a C broadcast. Yeah. Is that a bad grade? It's up for you to decide. A C grade is a passing grade. C's get degrees, but you pay $375 million for Satisfactory. You already had Satisfactory. You want the boogie woogie. You didn't get the boogie woogie. You didn't. Yeah. Could have just kept Greg Olsen and saved a whole lot of money. And I know he's still there, but he's not on the top team. You want A+. A+ is the standard. That was not it. It's akin to the Brady broadcast was like going to the Ritz-Carlton and listening to the elevator music, and you don't really notice it. And that's Tom Brady. He was background noise. It's like, all right, he was there. Not elite. Those elite skills that he had playing for the Patriots and the Buccaneers on the football field certainly did not translate to broadcasting. It's almost like it's a different skill set doing this than doing that. Go figure. But the jockocracy continues. Now, a perfect example of how off Tom Brady was. Brady had a batting practice fastball right down the middle to show that he's not going to be your standard ex-jock that gets on television. He had a giant meatball right there, and he could just eat the meatball. And what did he do? Brady had a chance to chastise Deshaun Watson, who blows, right? Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns had one first down in the first half. This was set up perfect. It was a T-ball for Tom Brady to say, okay, I'm going to kill this guy. Nobody likes Deshaun Watson anyway. Who likes Deshaun Watson? Nobody likes the guy. You could have buried Deshaun Watson, and nobody would have complained. And he deserved it. Right? You could have gone out there and chastised him and stigmatized him. Watson was a dog with fleas. And what did Tom Brady do? Seemed not critical to me. It was a ramshackle performance by Deshaun Watson. And instead, Brady chose not to lambaste the Browns quarterback, showing that he's not cut out to be an elite broadcaster. Yeah. He's not. You got to give me more. You got to give me more. You know, unless you think the fans are just morons, maybe they are. Maybe the fans are just a bunch of Neanderthals and they don't know what they're doing either, and they're just fanboys and they'll lick your toes. Maybe that's it. But for those that aren't like that, that was right there. There was an opportunity. Mr. Big Bad Tom Brady come out and bury Deshaun Watson. He didn't do it. You know who buried him? The Dallas Cowboys buried him. Now, speaking of that, as we expand on that, furthermore here, how did you see Deshaun Watson's performance since Tom Brady chose not to be too critical of Watson? Well, I thought Watson was in midseason form. I mean, he hit the ground running. He didn't miss a beat from years past. Consistency of performance for Watson, the same guy he's always been in Cleveland. I mean, he said just days ago that he still considered himself an elite quarterback. My favorite Watson story was from one of his trainers who was like, the typical trainer stories. Oh, yeah, the NFL's on notice. Deshaun Watson, man, he's back. Oh, this guy's ready to go. And he goes out there, and it's lucky he plays for the Browns because he really should be the brand ambassador for Dynavite. I mean, he's like a dog. He needs that dog food. He's always in deep doo-doo. Always in deep doo-doo. He is. You got Mike Zimmer calling plays there, laughing on the sidelines as Micah Parsons haunts Deshaun Watson. It's just brutal. 1 first down in the first half. 1. Numero uno. Watson, absolute rubbish from pillar to post. $230 million fully guaranteed for a liability. And at this point in time, Cleveland should just cut their losses, and maybe they should have him work as a host of a yoga studio. We know he's very good at the happy baby yoga pose. Much better at that than the shotgun formation. All right, last thing here. So before the game, the news came out. We'd mentioned this in a previous Maller monologue. As you know, I'm a distant relative of Nostradamus and friend of Nostradinus, although he doesn't like me because he's a Seahawk fan right now. But the Dallas Cowboys did open up the wallet. The news came down. The Cowboys and quarterback Dak Prescott have agreed to a 4-year, $240 million contract extension. Contract makes Deshaun Watson the highest paid per-year quarterback in the NFL at $60 million a year in annual value. That's number one all time. Number one. So can you explain in layman's terms, why Jerry Jones ended up paying Dak Prescott this contract? Because Jerry can't help himself. He flinched. He always flinches, right? We were praising Jerry. You almost got there. You got to training camp. You hadn't paid any of these guys. And you get to training camp, you can't help yourself, right? He was doing so well. And then during training camp, he flinched. He gave CeeDee Lamb the big money. And now here we are with Dak Prescott. And it's classic FOMO. It's fear of missing out. It's Jerry Jones being paranoid that Dak Prescott, who has been the epitome of big games suck, is all of a sudden not going to be that. That would defy the space-time continuum of the NFL. That we are at the point now where we have settled into what Deshaun Watson is. We know what the guy is. Watson, to his credit, and I will give him credit for this, because he hasn't done anything in big games his entire career, and yet just by showing up and succeeding during the regular season, he's managed to keep the Peter principle alive and well. He's reached his highest level of incompetence, and he will apparently stay there for the bulk of his career. Certainly the career in terms of his prime years will be spent in Dallas, and maybe he'll go somewhere else at the end of his career. But he'll end up on television. All these old Cowboy quarterbacks end up on television. Romo, Aikman, they all end up there. But Dak Prescott, to give you some context on how ridiculous this is, that normally you're paying someone on what you think they're going to do. We know what Dak Prescott is going to do. Dak Prescott has never reached a conference championship game through his first 8 seasons. He's never been there. No quarterback, none in NFL history has won a Super Bowl with his draft team with his draft team after 0 conference championship appearances through 8 seasons. It's never happened. So Dak Prescott would have to defy the space-time continuum for this to be successful, and yet he's being rewarded for empty stats. This is the fantasy football empty stat world that we live in here. Dak Prescott has never been someone that's won an MVP award. He's only won 2 playoff games in 8 seasons. One of them shouldn't even count. It was against a washed-up Tom Brady at the end of his career. That's like a half a playoff win. The other was against Russell Wilson. And I remember that game where Dak, if I remember correctly, was terrible in the second half of that game. That game was in Texas. But here we are. So the Cowboys, if you're a Cowboy hater, tremendous news. You don't have to worry about it for the next 4 years. The Cowboys will be all bluster. And they ain't winning bupkis, zippo with Dak Prescott. But they'll make a lot of money. So from Jerry's perspective, hey, they'll be competitive. That's all he cares about. They'll make some money. That's all that matters.